Did you know that one of the NFL's greatest idols today lives on a $1 million farm worthy of a movie? Have you ever imagined what it would be like to leave the field and build an empire on the field? What makes a former quarterback trade the spotlight for tractors and horses? This story is real. And the protagonist is none other than Brett Favre, the legendary number 4 of the Green Bay Packers. Get ready to discover an impressive property where luxury, nature, and hard work go hand in hand. Speak up, guys. This is Juninho Mello, and you are on Celebrity Farm, the channel that reveals the most curious and inspiring side of the rural lives of celebrities. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss anything. And now comment, "I'm going to work and earn a lot of money, and one day I'll be able to buy a farm like Brett Favre's." This shows that you are committed to winning in life. Brett Favre is a name that needs no introduction in the world of American football. A true NFL icon immortalized by his legendary performance with the Green Bay Packers. There were almost 2 decades on the pitch, countless records, a Super Bowl under his belt, and the eternal respect of the fans. But what few people know is that after hanging up his cleats, Brett found a new field to shine. And that field is literally a farm. Now think with me. What makes one of the greatest quarterbacks in history give up the big city, interviews, sporting events, and choose to live surrounded by animals, nature, and mud? The answer is simple: purpose. While many athletes seek to stay in the spotlight after retirement, Favre decided to take the opposite path. He wanted peace. He wanted freedom. And more than that, he wanted a place to grow not just food, but values, roots, and a new life. Brett Favre's farm is a true spectacle in itself. Located in the state of Mississippi, where he was born and raised, the property is gigantic and impresses with its size, structure, and sophistication. But before we delve into the details of this incredible place, it's worth pausing and reflecting. How many times have you thought about giving up everything and going to live in the countryside? It's a desire that grows in many people, even more so after knowing that even NFL stars are making this move. But don't think we're talking about just any farm. Here, what you will see is a portrait of the success that came from sweat, discipline, and long-term vision. Brett didn't just buy this farm on a millionaire's whim. He turned it into a true life project, with planning, investments, and above all, passion. And that's exactly what makes this story so inspiring. A guy who achieved everything in sport and instead of stopping there, decided to start over from scratch in a new universe. By the way, have you ever asked yourself, what would you do if you had all the money in the world? Favre answered that question with action. He returned to his roots and built a new legacy, this time away from the spotlight, but surrounded by meaning. So stay with me, because in the next block, we will actually enter this farm. You will get to know every corner of this paradise, understand how it was built, what is there, and what makes this place so special. And who knows, you might even be inspired to chase your own piece of land. Brett Favre's farm is in the heart of Mississippi, the state where he was born and developed his connection to simple, rural life. When he retired from the NFL, he had no doubts. He wanted to return to his roots. But unlike many who buy land just as a refuge, Favre went further. He decided to set up a complete, functional, productive farm with first-class infrastructure. It all started with a large area of land, which he gradually expanded. Today, the property exceeds hundreds of acres, a true rural empire. The farm is equipped with everything you can imagine: corral, modern barns, pasture areas, horse training ground, and even artificial lakes for sport fishing. Favre didn't skimp on technology. The irrigation system is automated. The cattle are handled using state-of-the-art machinery, and even the barns are air-conditioned. But there's more. The main house is a rustic mansion with a touch of luxury, precious wood everywhere, a giant fireplace, high ceilings and windows that overlook a cinematic sunset. This is not a decorative farm. Favre takes the field seriously. He invests in livestock farming, sustainable agriculture, and even grows some of the food he consumes with his family. For him, the countryside is more than just a beautiful landscape. It's a way to teach discipline, hard work, and respect for the land. In fact, he has already stated in interviews that he wants his daughters to learn the importance of effort. Here, everyone has a role. Nobody is spoiled, he once said. Is it or is it not an inspiring vision? It's curious to think that a guy who has already made millions of dollars in the field chose to live in the field. But this highlights a crucial point. True luxury is having peace, freedom, and autonomy. Favre isn't worried about the status a New York penthouse would give him. He prefers to get his boots dirty, take care of the horses, manage the crops, and closely monitor every decision. And you? Have you ever thought about what you would do if you had the chance to change your life like that? Of course, there is also space for leisure. The farm has an exclusive area for sport hunting, Brett's old passion, as well as a basketball court, running track, horse riding trails, and even a mechanic shop where he repairs old vehicles as a hobby. But the highlight of the property is the intention to leave a legacy. Favre wants the farm to become part of the family history. May future generations grow there, learn there, and prosper there. In other words, it's not just a farm, it's a philosophy of life. Few people understand the mental weight that an athlete carries over the years of their career. Pressure, expectations, all of this undermines emotional health. When Brett Favre decided to step away from public life, the farm wasn't just an investment. It was a psychological refuge. The field offered what fame never could: silence, balance, reconnection. Favre has already commented that in the first months living there, he relearned what it means to sleep peacefully, wake up without anxiety, and live more lightly. This is the kind of wealth that you can't buy with money, and maybe that's why the farm became so valuable to him. Anyone who thinks that Brett lives a life completely disconnected from business is mistaken. The farm is managed with the same rigor that he used to command attacks in American football. There are spreadsheets, goals, production control, and hired staff. But all this with a human touch. He makes a point of involving the family in decisions. He encourages his daughters to learn about the production process, encourages his wife to take care of the design of the internal spaces, and maintains a personal relationship with all the property's employees. It's a rare balance. Professionalism with a homely soul. Did you know that there is a sports broadcast booth inside the farm? That's right. Favre set up a mini recording studio where he comments on games, participates in podcasts and records videos when invited by specialized channels. In addition, he has a collection of historical NFL objects stored in an annex to the main house. Old uniforms, autographed balls, rare photos, and even the original helmet from the Super Bowl he won. All of this kept with care, not to show off, but to remember where it came from. Favre often repeats a phrase that well defines his philosophy of life in the countryside. Here, everything has value, but nothing has a price. This shows that for him, what really matters are the principles that the farm teaches. Patience, perseverance, respect for the timing of things. It's as if the earth were a mirror of the soul. When you take care of it with dedication, it gives you back in the form of peace and prosperity. This mentality is what differentiates a simple rural property from a true home with purpose. Brett Favre's story goes far beyond sports and dollar signs. She talks about new beginnings, about seeing life from a new angle, about not being afraid to change. Many people feel stuck in a routine, in what they should do, in what others expect. Favre broke that cycle. He followed what made sense to him, and today he reaps the fruits of that courageous decision. If you are there, thinking about changing your career, city, or even lifestyle, think about this. Isn't it time to plant your own seeds in new soil? Throughout this video, we discovered much more than $1 million farm. Brett Favre's story goes far beyond acres, modern barns, or state-of-the-art machinery. She talks about choices, values, and life purpose. And now, at the end of this journey, it's time to reflect. What does it all really mean? Favre could have followed the traditional path of former athletes, opening franchises, living in urban mansions, making a living from appearances on TV shows. But he preferred the silence of the mornings in the countryside, the noise of the animals, the rhythm of the seasons. It makes you wonder, is success really where most people say it is? Or is true success about finding a place where your mind and heart are at peace? Brett Favre's farm answers this question symbolically and directly. It is not just a beautiful property, it represents a new cycle. A fresh start built on the same fundamentals he used on the field: vision, patience, strategy, and resistance. The difference is that now, instead of throwing balls, he grows roots. Instead of racing against time, he follows nature's time. And this contrast shows how much life is made up of phases, and how knowing how to turn the page at the right time is a talent that few have. Another important thing, the connection with the origin. Even after having achieved everything, Favre insisted on returning to Mississippi, his homeland. This says a lot about character. While many use success to move away from the past, he used it to value where it came from. And this is also a powerful lesson. Never forget your roots, because that is where the strength to grow comes from. To conclude, Brett Favre's farm is not just a rural luxury. It is a lesson in simplicity with wisdom. It's about having money, but understanding that not everything in life revolves around it. It's about having fame, but choosing privacy. It's about having it all, and still looking for something that makes you feel, I really live. And now, I turn the question back to you. If today you could change everything, would you have the courage to start over in a place like this? If this story inspired you in any way, be sure to comment. I want to know what moment moved you the most in this video. So, did you enjoy visiting Brett Favre's $1 Million Farm? If this video inspired you, I have two others you need to watch now. Terry Bradshaw and his movie ranch in Texas. The family that drives cattle by helicopter in the middle of nowhere. The links are there on the final screen. Click now and dive into these incredible stories that show how life in the countryside can be surprising and full of purpose. But before you go, let me remind you of one thing. You don't have to be a former NFL player to change your life. You just need to take the first step. And that step begins when you believe it is possible. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You are different from most. You don't skip steps. You seek knowledge. You respect the process. So comment below. I will be able to achieve all my dreams. This is your commitment to your own future, and I'm here to remind you, you can do much more than you imagine. Now subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share this video with someone who needs a dose of inspiration today. Until the next episode of Celebrity Farm, with more real, surprising, and learning-filled stories. It was so worth it, and see you then.